Hello, how you doing? I'm Tim, and this video is looking at Steve Borthwick's back row. What is surely the most difficult position to guess what the members of the squad will be, what the members of the team will be, and one of the hottest spots for selection with so many contenders that mean you could play in all manner of different ways. So that's what this video is going to look into. I'm really hoping by the end of it, if I haven't already, I'll have earned your subscription. So please hit that little subscription button and the notification bell. And then you'll get more videos like this as we build up to the Six Nations 2023, which is so exciting, bearing in mind the World Cup is only 9 months away now. And the temptation when you think about a Steve Borthwick England team is just to think, well, how did Leicester play? And will that tactic be mapped onto England? Generally, I think tactically, the way Leicester played will be mapped onto England. It will be a pragmatic game. There'll be a lot of kicking and kick chase and work rate and physicality. That's what Steve Borthwick has always done. I don't think he'll depart too much from that. But the back row, I think more than any other part of the pitch, it's about the combination of players you want to bring. And when you look at the way Steve Borthwick set up his Leicester team, quite often he would have, and I think if you had to push him into a first-choice Leicester outfit, it would be Hanro Liebenberg at Blindside, Tommy Reffell at 7, and Jasper Wiese at 8. Very traditional back row roles. The kind of all-round big defensive player with a bit of a ball carrier as well in Hanro Liebenberg. The jackler out-and-out breakdown menace, Tommy Reffell, and the ball-carrying, barnstorming runner at number 8, Jasper Wiese. I would just add, though, he did show Steve Borthwick that with guys like George Martin, who he absolutely loves, and Ollie Chessum as well, that he quite likes that big number 6, and he'd often shift Hanro Liebenberg open to Openside along with the number 8 there. And I think both of those ways of playing are possible with the players England have at their disposal, but arguably there's other ways of playing available as well. So let's have a look at it. When you sort of try and characterise the different roles that can be played by various members of the back row, you've got the kind of, we used to have the 6.5, didn't we, with Haskell and Robshaw. Now, and in recent years, there's been the 5.5, which England have used to good effect with Courtney Lawes. I've just realised I've left Alex Coles off of this one. Sorry, Alex Coles, and Alex Moon, I guess, potentially. No, more Alex Coles. Alex Coles of Northampton should be on this as well. Apologies to him for that. But what I would say on that front is that they wouldn't get too far in my selection anyway. Sean Robinson, top right. Courtney Lawes, top left. George Martin and Ollie Chessum, the two Leicester Tigers at the bottom there. I get rid of Sean Robinson on that one, and I would also get rid of Alex Coles on that. Not because they're not good players. They very much are. But Courtney Lawes is Courtney Lawes. Ollie Chessum is an outstanding lock, and so I think he could be in the squad as a kind of a hybrid role because of his versatility there. It means he can retain another squad space for a different position. And I just know how much Steve Borthwick loves George Martin. He absolutely loves him, and the defensive work he does particularly. So I know he's not been fit for Leicester. I don't think he's fit currently, but when he is, expect him to be back in the mix. But for now, I would say as we look at this Six Nations, I would expect Ollie Chessum and Courtney Lawes, if fit, I know he hasn't been playing for Northampton, if fit, to figure for England. The next role that we'll look at, the traditional 6. And there are the contenders for that traditional 6, which has always been the kind of big defensive totem for a team, making massive hits. And Hanro Liebenberg does this job very well for Leicester Tigers, a ball carrier as well. And you've got there Ted Hill, Ruan Ackerman, Dave Ewers, and Lewis Ludlam. I know Lewis Ludlam can play across the back row. Same too for Ruan Ackerman, to be fair. But those are the guys that can do that traditional blindside role. And when I think about it, I think I love Dave Ewers. I think Ruan Ackerman's having a really good season. I think Ted Hill is probably the man that's most like Hanro Liebenberg that England has available. He's 6'5", prototypical blindside flanker, line out option, massive defensive unit. And Lewis Ludlam brings that work rate that Steve Borthwick loves so much. So I'll take those forward in terms of my selection conundrum as we move on to the out-and-out 7. Now, of course, a player like Ben Earl there, top middle, he can play across the back row. Tom Curry has played international 6 and 8, but these are 7s. They're men that when they've played their best rugby, they have 7 on their back. And in the top row there, Tom Curry, Ben Earl, Jack Willis. Second row, Ben Curry, Will Evans, Tom Pearson, and Sam Underhill at the bottom. Obviously, injury is an issue for Sam Underhill. I can't remember the last time he played. Will Evans has been brilliant when he has played, and is maybe the most natural traditional 7 in that kind of kneel back role. But he's had injury issues as well, which may cost him at this point. So let's eliminate those two. And Ben Curry would be there, I guess, if Tom Curry, as it appears maybe, is unavailable for the Six Nations. Tom Pearson's, it seems to be in favour and highly rated by a lot of coaches at the minute. Declan Kidney at London Irish was singing his praises. But I have to say, if everybody's fit, let's just assume everyone was fit for a minute, I think those 3 on the top row are the 3, aren't they? But absolute riches that you've got to choose from. But Ben Earl has been playing so well for a sustained period of time now. I do not expect Steve Borthwick, unlike Eddie Jones, to overlook his talent. So in the 7 position, there you go. And then we get to number 8. And yes, I've included Zach Mercer at this point, just because I'm looking forward to the World Cup. He's not eligible to play in the Six Nations. Alfie Barbary there on the bottom row as well, next to Zach Mercer. They're both injured. Let's just knock those out for now. Great players, could be World Cup contenders. But the 4 options at number 8, Sam Simmons, Alex Dombrandt, Tom Willis, who apparently has his club Bordeaux have been contacted to check he would be available if selected, and Billy Vunipola. This, I don't know where Steve Borthwick's going to go with this. I honestly don't know. You could argue in all cases. I think when you look at Alex Dombrandt, Steve Borthwick, I'm sure, will look at him as a ball-carrying threat, and the natural skill and the way he reads a game and his offloading ability and stuff can be devastating. Equally, I know Steve Borthwick is a massive fan of just pure work rate. And Alex Dombrandt just kind of Harlequins allow him to just drift in and out of games a little bit more, which may not be the way Steve Borthwick sees it going, which is why Tom Willis could come into contention, because he's just both sides of the ball on the go constantly. Sam Simmons, a big work rate player, but there is as we call it on the podcast, a Simmons tax. When you have a guy that's a little bit smaller at number 8, and Leicester have this with Jasper Wiese, him and Sam Simmons are a very similar size and shape. Maybe Jasper Wiese a bit bigger. You get guys like Hamro Liebenberg and George Martin and Ollie Chesham in the back row just to create that balance, that combination that I talk about. Billy Vunipola, I wonder if he might be the casualty, a big name casualty of Steve Borthwick's England. I don't know. I think Alex Dombrandt for me is the one that I would kind of have just ahead of all of the other contenders at the moment. But after that, I honestly couldn't say where Steve Borthwick's going to go. So if we take those people forward that are contenders at this point, the ones that I haven't eliminated already, from my thinking anyway, and you've got, 2, 5, 9, 13 options. I think when it comes to a Six Nations squad, a 36-man squad initially, you're probably looking 6, maybe 7 back row players. I can't imagine many more than that. And certainly when you look to a World Cup, a squad of 33 players, I think it is this year. You're not going to get more than 6 back row players, I wouldn't have thought. And one of those will probably be that hybrid player, Courtney Lawes or Ollie Chesham. This is so hard to pick, isn't it? And it's just, how do you want to play? Because every single one of these players has merits. But I think the way you need to think about it is, what is the blend that you want? What are the qualities that you want to have out on the field? And rather than picking the best 6, the best 7, the best 8, I think you have to think about which players complement each other the most. And with that in mind, I'm just going to knock out Ben Curry and Tom Pearson for now. I think they're both great players, and we'll see about the fitness of Tom Curry. One of those could be in contention if he is out. Take those 2 out. Where else do you eliminate players? I'm going to take out those 2 number 8s, Billy Vunipola and Tom Willis. Tough calls because they're both fantastic players, but I'm just going to retain the 2 number 8s that I would keep. When you look at the other players, those hybrid players and the guys that might occupy the blindside position, I think Ted Hill, because he's most like Hamro Liebenberg, he may get a bit closer to the squad this time than he has done, so I've just nudged him ahead of Lewis Ludlam there. But I am ultimately, if I have to just cull the squad to 6 or 7, I think I'll probably get rid of him as well. He might be next cab off the rank. So there you go. That's pretty much my back row selection for the Six Nations squad, albeit if Tom Curry is fit, if Courtney Lawes is fit. If not, then some of these other guys come back into contention. But that's what I'm saying. There's my 7, if I had to pick 7. If I had to pick 6, I don't know who I'd let go out of that. That's really hard. When it comes to actually picking a back row, talking about the blend, I think that could be a viable back row. I think Tom Curry could occupy the 6 role. He does enough work rate. He's a big defensive player. You've just got to have Ben Earl in the team as far as I'm concerned. I actually think that would be a good balance for an England back row. And I think Tom Curry's not small, but Alex Dombrandt would be a viable line-out option if he was in the team. And you've got to pick Ben Earl. And you've got the kind of work rate in Tom Curry and Ben Earl that allows Alex Dombrandt to kind of float when he needs to and inject himself into the game. And he doesn't have to do too much of the hard breakdown work, which Alex Dombrandt can do, but he's at his best when he can just read the game and just pop up here and there. Kind of the way Gregory Aldrit does for France, whereas you've got, Olivon and Jelonch, who will just work all day long. So that, I think, would be a potentially good England back row, albeit, as I say, Tom Curry may not be fit. If he's not, then maybe flip Ben Earl to Blindside and Jack Willis to Openside. And again, I think that's a pretty tidy England back row, that. But you could set the team up in any number of ways. If you were if you wanted Sam Simmons as your number 8, this is where I think maybe there's a Simmons tax that needs to be paid. If you have Simmons at number 8, maybe you do need a Ted Hill or Courtney Laws at Blindside. And then Ben Earl comes in. This is, again, if Courtney Laws is fit, if Tom Curry is fit and all the rest of it. But that could be a viable England back row. If those 3 players are fit, Tom Curry and Courtney Laws is not. That would work. If he decided that Tom Willis was his man, then you could go back to Curry and Earl as your flankers, and going back to the start, and that would work as well. It's just any number of ways you can set this team up, but it's the roles they're going to occupy. I think those will be the 6, maybe 7 guys that will be involved. If Tom Curry and Courtney Laws, like I say, were fit, looks like they may not be. That's what I think. What are you saying? Let me know in the comments section. I can't wait for the team to be selected. I'll be doing the same with other positions on the field. So please do hit subscribe and come back and check for new videos soon.